Welcome in, everyone. I am so thrilled to have you joining us today for another deep dive.
Really great to be here.
Yeah, whether you are, prepping for a big meeting or trying to get a read on where the professional world is heading, or you're just insanely curious about the future of work, you are exactly where you need to be today.
Absolutely.
Because today, we are talking about you, your career, and, well, a terrifying yet incredibly exciting reality that is fundamentally shifting the ground beneath our feet. We are officially declaring the traditional learn, then work era completely dead.
It really is a massive paradigm shift. I mean, the old rules of engagement, they just simply do not apply to the modern labor market anymore.
No, they don't.
And honestly, relying on them is becoming a massive liability for people.
They really don't apply. So to guide us through this, we are pulling from a phenomenal article today. It's titled The 5-Year Expiration Date: Why Continuous Reskilling Replaced the College Degree.
It's a fantastic piece.
It really is. And our mission for this deep dive is to unpack exactly why the hard-earned skills you rely on every single day are, well, they're expiring faster than ever before. We're also going to look at why our own brains might actually be tricking us into feeling a false sense of security, which is a huge problem. Huge. And most importantly, how to master the art of continuous reskilling to ensure you are always staying ahead of the curve. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah, it's a mission we all need to take seriously because the stakes have really never been higher. And that window to adapt, it's getting narrower by the day.
Let's start by looking backward for just a second to really understand the contrast here. Think back to the narrative we were all sold growing up. You know the one.
Oh, yeah. Go to school, get a good job.
Right. The idea was that a college degree was quite literally a golden ticket. You front-loaded your education, you sat in classrooms, you grabbed that heavy diploma, and then you were essentially set.
Set for life, basically.
Exactly. You could coast on that highly specialized body of knowledge for a 40-year career. You learned, and then you worked. It was a very clean two-step process.
Right. It was a totally linear progression.
Yeah.
Education was just this event that happened early in life, and the rest of your career was just the application of that singular event.
Yeah.
You might pick up a few operational tricks along the way, sure, but the foundation, it remained static. But the brutal reality we are facing right now is that those days are completely over.
Done.
We have to introduce a concept here borrowed from science, which is the half-life.
Okay.
Today, the half-life of a learned technical skill is roughly 5 years, and it is actively shrinking.
A 5-year half-life.
Yeah.
So just like radioactive material decaying over time, the value of the technical skills you learn today will lose half of their relevance and utility in just 5 years.
Exactly. The research highlights a frankly shocking paradox to illustrate this point. It's called the freshman to graduation paradox.
Oh, this part blew my mind.
It's wild. Imagine a student starting a standard 4-year degree today, let's say it's 2024, and they're spending late nights mastering a specific data sorting software or maybe a trending programming framework.
Right. Burning the midnight oil.
Exactly. By the time they don a cap and gown and walk across that graduation stage to receive their diploma,
4 years later.
4 years later, those specific cutting-edge technical skills will literally be obsolete. A generative AI model will likely be able to execute that exact same sorting task in 3 seconds using natural language.
Wow. But let me push back here for a second because I know what someone listening right now might be thinking.
Sure.
Haven't we always had to adapt? I mean, the transition from the typewriter to the personal computer didn't wipe out the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
People just learned how to use Microsoft Word.
Right.
So why is this 5-year half-life any more dangerous than previous technological shifts?
That is a very fair question, but it fundamentally misunderstands the velocity of what is happening right now.
Okay, how so?
The transition from the typewriter to the computer, that was a linear shift. You changed the tool, but the nature of the output remained largely the same. And that new tool, the computer, it remained the standard for decades.
Ah, okay.
What we are experiencing now is exponential change. It is not a one-time tool switch. The foundational logic of the tools we use is constantly rewriting itself.
Constantly.
Yeah. Failing to adapt to this 5-year expiration date is no longer just a missed opportunity for a promotion. It is a silent career killer. You don't necessarily get fired the day your skills expire. You just slowly become less and less relevant.
Yeah, until you're marginalized.
Exactly. Until you are entirely marginalized by someone or something, that operates much faster.
Which leads to a really natural question. If this 5-year expiration date is so obvious and the half-life of our skills is shrinking exponentially, Why isn't everyone running around panicking?
Good question.
Why aren't we seeing a massive, urgent mobilization of the workforce to reskill every single day?
Well, that is where we have to take a psychological deep dive. The reason people aren't panicking is due to a phenomenon known as optimism bias.
Optimism bias. Because we see all these massive headlines, right? We constantly read about AI disrupting entire global industries, restructuring massive corporations, automating thousands of tasks.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
We look at those headlines and we nod in agreement. We objectively know the economy is shifting beneath our feet.
Right.
So how does optimism bias actually play out in our day-to-day lives?
Well, we recognize the macro level threat, yes. We see the storm on the horizon. But then we protect our egos. We tell ourselves a very comforting, very dangerous lie to maintain our sense of security in an unpredictable environment.
And this is exactly what we tell ourselves when we look in the mirror. I'm going to share the exact quote from our research because I guarantee almost everyone listening has thought a version of this at some point recently.
Oh, definitely.
We tell ourselves, yes, AI is changing everything, but my specific job is safe. What I do requires too much nuance, too much experience, too much human touch to be automated.
What's fascinating here is how this precise form of ego protection breeds pure complacency. We convince ourselves that we are the exception to the macroeconomic rule.
Right. We think we're special.
Exactly. We think, sure, the junior analysts are in trouble, but I'm a senior strategist. A machine can't do what I do. But that assumption of immunity is fundamentally flawed based on where technology is actually heading.
Because we are severely underestimating what the technology can do right now, let alone in 3 years. I think a lot of us still picture automation as, like, a robotic arm in an assembly line or a basic script doing repetitive data entry in a spreadsheet.
Exactly, and that is a dangerous underestimation. AI is no longer just handling repetitive data entry. It is now actively synthesizing vast amounts of qualitative information.
Give me an example of that.
Okay, imagine a financial advisor who thinks their bespoke market synthesis is totally safe. Today, an advanced model can parse 10 years of complex SEC filings, cross-reference them with global news sentiment, and draft a highly nuanced advisory note in seconds.
In seconds. Something that used to take days.
Days or weeks. AI is writing complex code. It is generating high-level business strategies. It is making complex decisions that we previously thought required that magical human touch. Assuming your current static skill set makes you immune to disruption isn't just a comforting lie. It is the absolute fastest route to rendering yourself totally obsolete.
Okay, I know this sounds terrifying for anyone listening.
It is a bit scary.
We've established that the old rules are dead, technical skills expire in 5 years, and our brains are actively lying to us about how safe we are. But I want to pivot here, because the human worker is absolutely not doomed.
No, not at all.
In fact, there is a massive opportunity if you understand how to adapt to this new reality. The definition of a valuable employee hasn't been destroyed, it is just fundamentally changed.
That's the perfect way to frame it. The expiration of static skills opens the door for a completely new type of worker to emerge and take the lead in this economy.
Here's where it gets really interesting. We are witnessing the rise of the new-collar professional.
The new-collar professional.
Yeah. This isn't blue-collar. It isn't the traditional white-collar worker relying on a dusty university paper to prove their worth. This is a completely new breed of professional who operates entirely differently.
And this new-collar professional survives and thrives through a very specific, dynamic combination of capabilities. Our sources break this down into 3 core pillars of success.
Let's walk through those 3 pillars, because this is the blueprint for you listening right now to future-proof your career.
The first pillar is AI fluency. Notice it doesn't just say they use AI tools occasionally.
Right, it's fluency.
Exactly. New-collar workers understand how to deeply integrate AI into their daily workflows. The goal isn't just to dabble or ask a chatbot to rewrite an email. It's to leverage the technology to 10x their output.
To 10x it, wow.
They are acting as multipliers. They are building automated data pipelines, generating rapid prototypes, and using AI as a co-pilot for high-level problem solving.
Okay, so they are piloting the AI, not competing with it.
Precisely.
But let me stop you there. If mastering AI tools to 10x output is the goal, won't everyone eventually do that? I mean, if my peers and I are all using the same AI models to boost our productivity, AI fluency just becomes table stakes.
Yeah.
How does the new-collar worker actually stand out?
That brings us perfectly to the second pillar, which focuses on deeply human capabilities.
Okay.
Once AI fluency becomes the baseline, you have to index heavily on the exact skills that algorithms genuinely struggle to replicate. These are the inherently messy, beautifully complex human traits. We are talking about intercultural communication, emotional intelligence, complex problem solving in ambiguous situations, and strategic leadership.
Give me a day-in-life example of that. What does it look like to combine that 10x AI output with deeply human capabilities?
Imagine you're managing a global supply chain crisis.
Right.
The AI can instantly synthesize the logistical data, predict the financial impact of the delays, and generate 3 potential routing solutions. That's the AI fluency.
Right, the heavy lifting.
But the AI cannot read the room. It cannot use emotional intelligence to navigate a tense negotiation with a frustrated supplier in Tokyo, while simultaneously using intercultural communication to align your panicked design team in Berlin.
Yeah, that requires a person.
Exactly. The new collar worker uses the AI for the heavy computational lifting, but leans into their deeply human capabilities to actually execute the strategy and lead the people involved.
That makes so much sense. You lean into what makes you uniquely human to deploy the insights the AI generates.
Mm.
And what about the third pillar?
The third pillar is agility, and this is arguably the most vital of all. For the new collar worker, their primary overarching skill is simply the ability to learn new skills rapidly. They have mastered the meta skill of learning itself.
Because if the half-life of a skill is 5 years, your ability to rapidly acquire the next skill is the only thing that keeps you relevant. Agility is the engine driving the whole new collar machine. But this brings up a really critical question about our institutions. Where does higher education fit into this entirely new landscape? If the degree isn't the golden ticket anymore, and new-collar workers don't rely on that dusty piece of paper to prove their worth over a 40-year career, are universities just obsolete now?
They aren't obsolete, but their traditional operating model requires a drastic overhaul. The days of being a one-off degree provider are over.
Done.
To actually equip fresh graduates for this highly volatile job market, colleges and universities must transition into being lifelong learning partners.
Lifelong learning partners.
Yeah.
That is a massive paradigm shift. It means the commencement stage, walking across to get that diploma, is no longer the finish line.
Precisely. If commencement isn't the finish line, the entire structural approach to the curriculum has to change. Institutions must abandon the old model of static syllabi.
Which are so rigid.
Think about it. You cannot have a curriculum that takes 3 years of bureaucratic committee meetings to get approved when the skills being taught expire in 5 years.
It's just a math problem at that point. It doesn't work.
Right. Instead, institutions need real-time curriculum alignment that actively reflects live labor market shifts as they happen.
But how does a massive, slow-moving university actually do that? How do you maintain a lifelong relationship with alumni and keep the curriculum perfectly aligned with a chaotic, ever-changing labor market?
Well, forward-thinking academic institutions are already solving this by embedding continuous learning ecosystems directly into the student and alumni experience. They aren't trying to build this from scratch. They are leveraging specialized institutional platforms to do it.
So what does this all mean? We know that recognizing your skills are expiring is step one. We've established that.
Yes.
But honestly, knowing exactly what to learn next and how to actively pivot your career without wasting time on the wrong trends, that is the genuinely hard part.
It is the hardest part.
If I am sitting at my desk on a Tuesday afternoon, how do I actually practice this agility? That is the implementation problem that trips everyone up. And that is exactly where the old model of education fails completely, and where platforms like SkillDrift step in as the ultimate tool for this new economy.
It is an implementation problem, and it requires a completely different set of tools than what we are used to. SkillDrift is not just another passive course catalog.
Right.
It is not a website where you scroll through hundreds of random video lectures hoping you pick the right one for your industry. It is an AI-native talent mobility and career development platform built specifically to handle the realities of the new economy we just spent time outlining.
Let's unpack the jargon there, because terms like talent mobility and predictive upskilling can sound a bit like corporate speak. Before we move on, what does predictive upskilling actually look like for me? Does the platform literally tell me, hey, you need to learn Python by next month?
It's actually much more sophisticated than that. Guessing what skills will make you marketable is incredibly difficult and risky. Instead of leaving you to guess, Predictive upskilling uses real-time, data-driven insights.
Okay.
The platform analyzes live labor market trends, maps them against your current profile, and identifies the exact hybrid skills and specific AI competencies you need to acquire to stay ahead of the curve in your specific field. So, it might tell a mid-level project manager, based on market demand this month, integrating these three specific AI workflow frameworks will increase your marketability by 40%.
So it takes the guesswork completely out of the agility pillar we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
You don't have to wonder what the next valuable skill is. The platform predicts it for you based on live data. That is incredibly powerful, and that leads right into the concept of targeted career mobility.
Right. Continuous reskilling sounds great in theory, but it can feel incredibly daunting in practice. How do you fit that into a busy life with a full-time job and a family?
It's a lot.
It is. Targeted career mobility means SkillDrift maps out personalized career trajectories for you. It takes that massive, intimidating concept of continuous reskilling and breaks it down, turning it into actionable, bite-sized daily habits that actually fit into your schedule.
It makes the massive macroeconomic shift manageable on an individual level. You aren't boiling the ocean. You're just taking the next logical data-backed step.
Right.
And the final key feature of platforms like this really ties our whole conversation together, which is intentionally bridging the gap between AI and human skills.
Exactly. The platform intentionally develops both sides of the new-collar professional we discussed. It builds your technical AI fluency so you can achieve that 10x output, while simultaneously providing pathways to develop those human-centric leadership capabilities, the emotional intelligence, and complex problem-solving that keep you irreplaceable.
It builds the complete new-collar package, guiding you every step of the way. This has been such a phenomenal deep dive into a topic that affects quite literally every single one of us listening. To summarize where we've landed today, your college degree was a fantastic starting line. It gave you a foundation.
A great foundation.
But you must recognize that it is no longer the finish line. In a world where the technical skills you learn today will effectively expire in 5 years, the entire trajectory of your career is now completely dependent on your willingness to unlearn old methods, relearn new tools, and constantly evolve.
The overarching warning from the research is crystal clear. Do not let optimism bias hold you back.
Yes.
Do not look in the mirror and tell yourself that your specific role is too nuanced to change, or that you are somehow immune to the shifting tides of the economy.
The future undeniably belongs to the continuous learners. It belongs to the new-collar professionals who lean into agility, embrace AI fluency to multiply their output, and double down on their deeply human capabilities.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it really forces us to rethink the fundamental structure of a career. It leaves you wondering, what if the very concept of a static job title itself eventually becomes entirely obsolete?
It's a wild thought.
Imagine a future where, instead of applying for a job as a marketing manager or a data analyst, your professional identity is a dynamic skill portfolio. A portfolio that updates in real time, almost like a credit score, dictating your professional value and mobility week by week, based entirely on your continuous reskilling efforts.
Understand your skill gaps and career paths here. Upskill yourself with inbuilt bite-sized learning resources. Start by uploading your resume, no credit card required, personalized in minutes, built for progressive talent.